The project shown in this video can be found in the textbook Technical Drawing 101 with AutoCAD, available from SDC Publications. In this video, I want to show you how to use the hatch command. You can invoke the hatch command from the Draw toolbar by selecting this icon here, the hatch icon, or by selecting the hatch icon from the Draw panel of the ribbon, or by typing H and pressing Enter. Once you enter the hatch pattern, the ribbon will change to show the Hatch Creation tab. And you can do edits and all sorts of things with this tab. So I'm going to stretch out my window just a little bit so we can see a little bit more here. Alright, so I'm going to get back into the hatch command again. And the first thing it asks me, or I'm prompted here when I'm in it, it says pick an internal point. Now the way this works is if I go inside a boundary, I can pick inside something and I can pick a point and I can place a hatch pattern inside that area. So for example, if I pick in this area here, what the hatch pattern does is it searches for a boundary and it places a hatch inside that entire boundary. Now the other thing I want to point out to you is that the current hatch pattern, which is the default hatch pattern, is called ANSI 31, and ANSI stands for the American National Standards Institute hatch pattern number 31. This is sort of a general use hatch pattern. You can use it on just about any type of drawing. The angle of the diagonal lines that you see here is at 45 degrees, even though when you look up here on the Hatch Creation tab under angle it says that it's 0. So the default angle is 45 degrees, and Hatch Creation refers to that as 0 even though it is 45, so keep that in mind. If I were to change my hatch pattern up here, the angle to 45 for example, and press enter, it takes the 45 that it was already at and adds 45 more and actually goes to a 90-degree hatch pattern or vertical lines. So I'm going to go in here and set this back. Let me get it to select again. You can also change it by moving this little bar here. If you go all the way to the side, you should be able to get it back to 0, which is again 45 degrees. Alright, I have other options I could choose for my hatch pattern up here. You can pick on this down arrow and work your way through, or you can pick on this and they'll actually kind of fly out over here to the side. They're kind of hard to see when you do that. But they're in alphabetical order, and so you have all sorts of patterns you could choose. You even have some gradients in here, which are these sort of colored patterns. You can see I've got a bunch of AutoCAD ISOs. I have one called net. We use net sometimes, and if you look at the angles for the net, even when those say they're at 0, they pretty much look like they're at 0. So I'm going to go ahead and put those at 45. Let's see what that would look like. It rotates it from vertical and horizontal by 45 degrees. Alright, I'm going to press escape and get out of the hatch pattern, or out of the hatch command rather. Let's look at another way to place a hatch in an object. I'm going to pick on this, and instead of picking points, remember when I pick points it allows me to pick inside a boundary. I'm going to pick on this tab here, and what this one does, it allows me to select objects that I want to hatch. For example, I can pick that circle. So I didn't pick inside of that circle, I just picked the entire object. Or I could pick that polygon, that 5-star, the pentagon that I've got right here. Now I can also come in here and try to place one on an object like this, and I'm getting all sorts of weird stuff. So don't be surprised if you get that. Partly why I'm getting a weird hatch pattern here is because I intentionally left this object open. So I'm going to do an undo back here on that object and show you how you can fix this, and how sometimes you'll have a problem. Usually the problem you'll have will occur because there's a little break that you can't see. It's so small, like maybe you haven't been really careful when you drew something. So when you select on the hatch pattern and you go to pick points and you pick inside here, you're going to get an error message, and it says a closed boundary cannot be determined. And not only that, it places two circles. And pick close here and zoom in. It places two circles where the gap is, so you know what you need to fix. Now, students try to erase those circles, and the problem with that is they can't be erased. The only way to get rid of these circles is to regenerate your screen. So in order to do that, you can press escape and type RE and press enter, and that will regenerate the drawing. All right, now one way to fix this, if you can see the gap, would be to just do a grips edit. So you pick on this line and then hold down with your mouse and just drag it down here to the end. But you have to make sure that object snap is on in order to do that. So I need to make sure that object snap is on and that I'm snapped exactly to the end. Another good way to do that, and one that is more surefire maybe, might be to just go over to the modify command or modify panel and pick on the fillet command, and for radius I'm going to type R and enter. You'll notice that my fillet radius is defaulting to 0 because this is the first time I've used the fillet on this drawing. So I'm going to press enter, and when it asks me to select the first line and the second line, what happens when you fillet two lines with a radius of 0, it creates a corner and they're attached exactly where they should be. So now I've taken that one entity that had a gap in it, and I should be able to choose on the hatch pattern and either do select the boundary objects and pick here, pick all 4 of my boundaries like that, or undo and just go to hatch and pick on pick points like that. Alright, so I'm going to scroll over here a little bit. I have a drawing where I have a front view of an object with a cutting plane line that runs right down through the center, which would indicate we're going to cut this in half. So in our top view, we want to imagine that we're seeing this part right here with the top half of it removed. And so everywhere that this part would come in line with our cutting plane, then we're going to have a hatch pattern in the top view. So let's go add a hatch pattern here. I'm going to pick on the hatch icon. I'm going to go back to the ANSI 31, which was my original, if you remember. Now there's a bunch of these in here, and so finally I find ANSI 31, and I'm going to pick points because I want to pick in this area. Now you can see I've got a little problem here. It looks like that my hatch angle is at 45. I'm going to set that back to 0. Now come over here and pick points, and because my boundaries are good in the drawing that I've made, my hatch pattern goes in there exactly where I want it to go. Alright, so I pressed escape, so I'm out of the hatch pattern. Now in order to edit this, I can double click on it, and that will bring me back to my hatch editor. And one of the things I could change is the scale. Now the scale, that when I put this hatch pattern in, the scale was set to 1, and watch what happens if I do 0.5 for my scale. It makes the hatch a lot more dense because the distance between the lines gets a lot closer. So remember, I had it at 1. I could double click it again, and let's say that I can even change my scale up here with sort of the quick properties. I can go 2, for example. So you can see that I could change my pattern if I wanted to. I could go choose a different pattern. I've got a bunch of different styles that I could choose from. Don't really want to do that on this one, so I'll press escape. But just double clicking on that will put you back into the hatch editor. Alright, let's see if there's anything else I can think of on this one. I think that's about it.